Good morning and welcome to the Pension Action Center's 25th anniversary celebration. My name is Anna Tabor and I'm the director of PAC. I'm so glad that you've joined us today. We have a great program for you. We're going to be joined by Boston Globe columnist Sean Murphy, and Representative Richard Neal, chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, has sent us a special message as well. You'll hear from our clients, our staff, our volunteers, and our students about the work that we do. We'll wrap up the program in about 50 minutes so that you'll have time to get on with the rest of your day. I also want to let everybody know that the program is being recorded. Before we jump into our program, I just want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, our corporate sponsors, for making this event possible today. Thank you to the Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare Foundation, McDermott, Will and Emery, Wilmer Hale, Sageview Advisory Group, Zarnowski Consulting, Lexington Wealth Management, Holland and Hart, and Bricklayers and Allied Craftsmen. I also want to thank our wonderful host committee, our fantastic PAC advisory board, and I want to thank all of you for being here today and making this such a special event. The Pension Action Center has served more than 10,000 people and recovered over $60 million in benefits for our clients. That would not have been possible without the support of people like you. PAC was founded by people whose visionary leadership led them to understand the importance of free pension counseling services. Our founder, Ellen Bruce, started PAC in 1994, initially serving just Massachusetts, with generous funding from the U.S. Administration for Community Living. A few years later, our service area expanded to serve all of New England, and in 2012, with generous support from the RRF Foundation for Aging, we expanded to serve Illinois as well. Thanks to the continued support of ACL, RRF, and our other funders and generous donors, we are still going strong today. We have seen and learned a lot in 25 years, but we have not experienced anything like the last 7 months. About 80% of the people who we serve are over the age of 60. Our clients have been devastated to lose their loved ones, and we have been deeply saddened to lose some of our clients as well. The people who reach out to us for help are often isolated, they miss their family and their friends, and they're struggling financially. Their Social Security benefits are not enough to make ends meet. They contact us because they're hoping that we can help them track down a retirement benefit that they earned long ago so that they can support themselves. This time has brought new challenges for our clients and for us as well, but there have been wonderful victories too. We are very grateful that the nature of our work allows us to continue working from home and serving our clients during the pandemic. And we're so pleased that we've been able to recover benefits for our clients since our office on the UMass Boston campus shut down, benefits worth over $750,000 just since March. Also, the benefits that we've recovered for our clients over the years continue to support them as well. Please join me now in watching a short video about two of our recent clients, Michael Gordon and Darlene Lamusta. The Pension Action Center fights for retirement benefits through advocacy and education. Located at the University of Massachusetts, Boston, we provide free help to clients throughout New England and also Illinois.
We hear from a lot of people who try for months or even years to get their pensions on their own before they finally reach out to the Pension Action Center for help.
My name is Michael Gordon, and I live in Chicago, Illinois. I am 68 years old. I'm married, and I've been married for 43 years. I have 3 children. Companies are not as faithful to employees as they used to be. There used to be a time that a person could work for a company for 30 years and they would get their pension, no questions asked, no resistance. But the landscape for employment and careers is different now, and companies are buying and selling each other, and sometimes we need the assistance of an organization like PAC. When I initially turned 65 and began to reach out trying to locate my pension, it was very frustrating because it seemed like everyone I talked to, they had no idea of who I should talk to actually access my pension. And even after talking to the company Honeywell, that some of my former co-workers told me that they were receiving their pension from, after reaching out to them, I just hit a brick wall. I earned my pension at, initially the company was Union Carbide Corporation, but it was purchased by several companies. And at the time, most of the time that I worked there, it was Prestone Products Corporation. And I worked there for over 21 years. And I had several different positions during my 21 plus years there. I worked in production. I worked as a quality control technician for a number of years. I worked in the shipping and warehouse department for a number of years. And for about 10 years before I actually left the company, I worked in the maintenance and engineering department as a technician. PAC was very instrumental in being on the phone with me in three-way phone conversations with Honeywell and me. They gave me the right questions to ask. And even on those phone calls when Honeywell would push back and say that they were not responsible, PAC was able to ask the right questions and get in contact with the right people within the organization that ultimately resulted in me getting my pension. I was elated. I mean, it was such a long journey. It was such a grueling journey. There were so many ups and downs and so much resistance. A load was lifted off of me that you cannot even imagine. I literally, my wife and I, we were just so elated when it finally came down to them stating that I was going to receive a pension.
My name is Darlene. I was married to Mark Lamusta for 33 years. We have 2 children, Mark and Rachel. We live in Linfield. We've met in Linfield many years ago, and we've stayed here ever since. My husband, Mark, earned a pension at the airlines. He worked for the airlines for 37 years, various airlines, and the last one was where he earned his pension. Mark worked on the ground level. He was called an agent. He directed the planes in, those guys with those things that flash around, motor pool, the bags, whatever needed to be done. He was well-liked, very well-liked there. When Mark knew he was going to retire from the airlines, he applied for his pension, and basically we were just told it would be a 30 to 90 day process. But during that time, Mark found out he had ALS. We sent a letter from the doctor stating what he had, showing he had a disability. We had Social Security. We sent letters from Social Security explaining he had a disability, and we needed to do this within 45 days, as stated in the pension plan. And always just reassured by whoever we happened to talk to, because it was never a direct person, never ever a direct person. Said, no problem, it'll be done. However, we didn't find out till the day Mark went into the hospital that they wanted additional paperwork. Mark never knew that came. He never knew about that because he died 3 days later. When I was told he was only going to get the 50% instead of the 100%, it was like a gut punch. It was like, wow, really? We did everything correct. People just dragged your feet and dragged your feet. And now he's gone. He can't sign the paperwork. And you're telling me 50%. I felt very betrayed, and it was just wrong. Just very hurt and upset that they were doing this to him. We did everything right. We filled out the paperwork. We kept in touch with them. Mark would call them periodically. So everything was done right. However, the union didn't do it right. They just hesitated and put us, I don't know, at the bottom of the list, I guess.
After the claim was denied, the Pension Action Center prepared and filed an appeal. We also reached out to the Boston Globe to share Darlene's story with them. We were very excited when the Boston Globe decided to run Darlene's story on the front page.
It was a very huge appeal. It was like 80 pages, and it's still, the union denied it. And then from there we did the newspapers, we did the labor board, and constant letters back and forth until they gave in. You were very helpful in a time when I was just feeling down and out, and you were very encouraging to me and persistent, which was good. It was just really good. Thank you. Thank you.
PAC was there from the time I contacted them up until July of 2020 when I actually received the pension. They were there with me all of the way, and so I just say thank you to them for the work that they're doing.
I want to thank Michael and Darlene so much for sharing their stories with us today. It was an honor to work with them. All of PAC's client services are completely free. All of the benefits that we recover go back to our clients who earn them. We're able to provide our free services because of the generosity of people like you. I'm very happy that coming into this event this morning, we've raised $35,000 to support our work. We're hoping to raise an additional $5,000 today. So I hope that if you're able, you'll consider making a donation on our website. We're going to put the web address into the chat section of the webinar. I'll say it as well. It's www.umb.edu/pension action. And again, that's should be coming up shortly. There it is in the chat function in the webinar. Again, thank you so much for your support. And now we're going to have a very special segment. Two of the PAC team members who helped Michael Gordon get his benefit are going to speak with us today. Maureen Egan is one of PAC's amazing volunteer counselors. Maureen is actually celebrating her 10th year working with PAC. Maureen is one of a long line of volunteer counselors whose dedication, expertise, and hard work have been so important in making PAC the success that it is today. And she's joined today by our staff attorney, Tyler Compton. Hi, Tyler. Hi, Maureen. How are you doing today?
Hi, Anna.
Good morning. Yeah.
So, hi, I'm Tyler Compton, the staff attorney here at the Pension Action Center. I'm speaking with Maureen Egan, one of PAC's volunteer pension counselors, about her experience working on the Michael Gordon case. Hi, Maureen. Good morning.
Good morning, Tyler.
Thanks so much for joining us. You were the lead counselor working with Michael Gordon to recover benefits that were taken over from Honeywell. What made this case so interesting and unique?
Well, thanks, Tyler. Mr. Gordon had a similar problem to many people who approach us, which is he worked for a company for many, many years, but he went to one place for 21 years, did a job, but the company that owned it kept changing and merging. And even after he left it, it merged and the ownership changed again. What made his case somewhat unique was the fact that right from the start, we knew that Honeywell was the group who owned the pension liability. Mr. Gordon had wonderful documentation that he had kept from his years of working at Honeywell. He had a deferred vested benefit letter. He had spoken to his colleagues and they were getting their pension from Honeywell. And then we were able to find a pension plan document that explicitly stated that the Prestone pension plan merged into the Honeywell plan. So with all that information, we felt fairly confident in approaching Honeywell. It took us over 7 months of direct interaction between the service center, escalating it to research tickets, talking to the senior benefit manager, and ultimately, of course, to the plan administrator. But after 7 months, we were able to get a phone acknowledgement that, yes, he was owed a pension from Honeywell. It took another 5 months, basically until February of this year, for us to get a benefit election form, that a formal document that actually said he was owed a pension. But that's not the end of the story, as you know, Tyler.
Yeah, exactly. There was an issue with how they were going to make up for the long gap in time for their benefits. So you were actually able to secure a retroactive payment for Mr. Gordon in this case in lieu of an actuarial adjustment. Could you explain how you're able to secure this benefit?
Sure. What Honeywell offered was, as Tyler just said, an actuarial adjustment. It was actually about $200 a month more that he would have got for his pension going forward. On first blush, that sounds wonderful until you actually do the math and realize that it would have taken Mr. Gordon, who's 68, it would have taken him until he was close to 80, like 79 and 11 months before he would have actually broken even on that pension. So with that knowledge, we went back to Honeywell, who kept insisting they would not start a pension until somebody tried to initiate it with them. They needed that key element. And that's where Mr. Gordon came through with an amazing document. He produced his phone records all the way back to June of 2017, which enabled us, what you could see in these phone records, repeated calls to the Honeywell Service Center, month after month, sometimes twice in a month. You could see him calling with us sometimes, you know, and trying to reach out. And of course, we had documentation that we had called. So armed with that, Tyler, you approached the legal counsel for Honeywell and kind of just showed her, kind of explained the situation. And fortunately, she was able to negotiate with everyone and get it approved that he would get his pension as well as a retroactive benefit. So he got his original 2017 normal retirement pension in a full retroactive and interest for that time period. So it took us close to 18 months to wrap this case up. And an awful lot of phone calls. But I have to say, we were probably almost as delighted as Mr. Gordon was that it worked out for him.
We definitely were. And it was so great working with you on this case, Maureen. Just to wrap up now, could you tell us what you like about being a PAC volunteer counselor?
Sure. Obviously, one of the high points is anytime we're able to get a client a benefit because they earned that benefit in their lifetime. And many of them, for many people, it's a life-changing event to actually get that security back in their life. I love the fact that PAC requires me to use my brain to kind of plan and research and do things of that nature for each client. And I have to say the PAC environment is wonderful. The whole group is all focused on getting the clients their benefit, and it's always a lot of fun to go in there, so to work with PAC. So it's just a tremendous volunteer experience.
Well, it's definitely so much fun working with you, Maureen. We're so lucky to have you on board. And thanks so much for talking with us today.
Thank you.
All right, Anna, back to you.
Thank you, Tyler, and thank you so much, Maureen. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our special guest, Boston Globe columnist Sean Murphy. I had the chance to meet Sean for the first time when he reported on Darlene Lamusta, who you heard about earlier in the client video. Sean writes the fine print column in the Boston Globe in which he goes to bat for consumers. His mission is to use the power of the press to get redress for consumers featured in his columns, and to let those who would abuse consumers know that there will be a demand for corporate accountability. Sean joined the Globe decades ago and has enjoyed stints as a reporter, editor, and columnist. In addition to being a journalist, Sean also has a law degree. And Sean, you also told me that you once taught a course at UMass Boston's McCormick Graduate School. Is that right?
That is correct. I taught a class on the Big Dig, which some people here in Boston may remember was a wee bit of a construction project that we had in the 90s and the first decade of this year. It was a privilege to teach at UMass Boston. It was a class of graduate students learning the mechanics of government. So I feel comfortable being associated with UMass Boston, and I want to say right here now that the Pension Action Center, wow, what a great program. I had no idea. Tens of millions of dollars returned to people, 10,000 people helped. That is fantastic. And as Maureen Egan, your wonderful volunteer, said, these are life-changing events that occur in people's lives after feeling abandoned and betrayed and wronged. I am certainly privileged to have participated in at least one case with you, Anna.
Well, thank you, Sean. We're so glad to have you here with us today at our celebration. I wanted to start out by asking you a question related to COVID-19. So since the pandemic began, you have reported on how the crisis is affecting people in all different ways. And I'm wondering if there are any of those stories that have been particularly meaningful for you personally.
Well, at the risk of sounding a little bit, I don't know, naive, but every one of them is meaningful to me. Every time I go to bat, as I say, for a consumer and the corporation or the insurance company or the government agency follows through and makes good with the consumer, it's gratifying. You can understand. During this pandemic, we've all had our lives tipped upside down. And I've been contacted by numerous people who have had very difficult times getting their unemployment insurance. These are benefits that they earned during their time working. And the bureaucracy moved so slowly and sometimes callously that I jumped in and represented a couple of unemployment beneficiaries without their benefits and got them what they had coming. In addition to those specific cases, and overall having the notion of the bureaucracy in the front pages of the Boston Globe, I think had an influence in improving the operations.
Now, Sean, one of those stories about unemployment benefits really struck a chord with me because it dealt with a problem that our clients face all the time, which is just trying to prove that they are themselves, trying to prove their identity. In this case, the article was about a single father who couldn't get his unemployment benefit because he didn't have the right documents. Can you tell us a little bit about that situation?
Well, yes, it was emblematic of the problems that people had. An out-of-work artist with a son at home, a minor son, needed his unemployment benefits to pay the rent and put food on the table, and he couldn't get it, despite the fact that he had showed a license and a passport and other documentation. And he just could not get around this obstacle. Each time he tried to explain to people and to upload documents, just could not happen. I got involved, and through the power of the press, through the mechanics of the press being in front of so many readers, the agency relented and they saw the wisdom of giving him his benefits. And so, again, that was a small case of, but a significant one.
Great, and a great outcome. I want to just say to our audience that if you're interested in asking Sean a question, please enter it into the Q&A function. Sean, my next question for you is, has COVID-19 changed anything about the way that you do your reporting?
Well, it has in one area. I've gone ahead and devoted myself to COVID topics for one thing, and in fact, I've done a lot of what we Q&As on Social Security and getting your benefits and other topics. But another thing that a little bit more personal to me is that prior to the pandemic, I made it a rule that I would go out and meet all the people I wrote about. And that was the case with Darlene. It was lovely seeing her on video here this morning. And that gave me a chance to judge credibility and just to kind of connect with the person that I'd be writing about. And now with the pandemic, that's no longer available. So the column continues, but it's basically based on telephone interviews. And I should add, Anna, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, please do. If somebody has an issue with the corporation, insurance company, government agency, it's Sean, SEAN .Murphy @globe.com.
Great. And Sean, I have one last question for you. I was wondering if you can tell us, what do you think are the most pressing issues that are facing older people today?
Well, I have interviewed lots of seniors, and I find that many of them are frustrated with the telephone calisthenics, let's say, that are required in order to get redress. People have a complaint with AT&T or Verizon or Comcast or Amazon or eBay, or, go on and on. It's Sears, Samsung. They know that they have a legitimate complaint. It's right there on the face of it, but they can't get anybody to hear it. They can't get anybody to listen to them. And calling and getting the prompts, the automated prompts, can be very difficult. Sometimes people are speaking very quickly. I myself have asked people to slow down, please, so that I can comprehend and take notes. As a consumer, that's one of the most important things, is as you make your calls and talk to people and have your experience, jot down notes.
That's really great advice, Sean. That's something that a lot of our clients have problems with as well, is just getting through those telephone prompts. And often we're able to help with that. We have a question from the audience. Sean, the question is, have you encountered cases where older people have been scammed over the phone or the internet?
Yes, this does happen. And the last time I wrote about it, the woman told me, I don't think it's necessarily because of my age, but she received a request online from what looked like a friend. The email address was of the name of a friend, asking her to get some gift cards. Because she was in a somewhat of an emergency. The person asking for the gift cards couldn't quite get them. The person I wrote about, the victim, let's say, wanted to do a good turn for her friend and went out and did it. And it turns out to be a scam. Mm-hmm. This happens. There was another one, somebody posing as a Publishers Clearinghouse. If the advice I would give, if something sounds too good, it is. If somebody asks you to spend some money and you haven't directly spoken with that person, be careful.
Well, again, that's more good advice. Thank you so much, Sean. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but I just want to thank you, Sean, for all the wonderful work that you're doing for consumers.
Thank
Thank
you,
you so
Anna.
much again for joining us
Okay.
today. We
Glad
really
to be
appreciate you
here.
being here.
Thanks.
Now we're going to hear from some of the students who work at the Pension Action Center. So we are located at UMass Boston, and creating educational opportunities for students is an important part of what we do. First, we're going to hear from Ariana Moore. Ariana is a second-year law student at Northwestern. She was not able to be here with us in person this morning, but she has sent us a video. So please join me in watching Ariana's video.
Hi there, my name is Ariana and I am a second-year law student at Northwestern School of Law. I was also a Systemic Justice Fellow with the Pension Action Center this past summer. So throughout the summer, my co-fellow, Tori Johnson, and myself worked to address the issue of lost 401k plans. Every year, PAC receives numerous calls from people who can't find their old 401k accounts. Because of the pandemic, this year, so many people are losing their jobs, and with everything that they have to worry about, they might not remember to keep track of any 401k account that they had with the employer that they're leaving or have previously left. Other people who have lost income are trying to locate old 401k accounts from years ago to help them support themselves through the current crisis. This led Tori and I to our summer project. So many 401k accounts are expensive for employers to maintain because of high administrative and record-keeping costs. If a former employee's 401k balance is between $1,000 and $5,000, and if the employer doesn't have accurate contact information to reach that worker, the employer can move that money into an individual retirement account, an IRA, without the worker's consent. Often, the worker doesn't even receive notice of the forced transfer. Because of this, forced transfers, along with company dissolution and mergers, often lead to previous retirement plans being lost and unaccounted for. So, in addition to researching possible policy solutions, like enhancing notice and consent requirements, Tori and I created 2 fact sheets to help workers take preventative measures to secure their 401ks and other pension plans. Our first fact sheet is for people who are leaving a job. It details steps workers need to take in order to effectively keep track of their 401ks. Taking certain actions like confirming your summary plan description, updating your address and contact information in the interest of receiving future notices about your plan. Those types of things are provided on that fact sheet. Our second fact sheet is geared toward helping workers who have already lost track of their retirement fund. We detail tax forms to locate and what to look for in those particular sections. We provide links to databases to check for lost pensions, as well as the contact information for financial institutions that are likely to accept forced out retirement accounts. These fact sheets not only help workers learn the simple steps they can take to ensure that they do not lose their retirement fund in the first place, but they also take workers through an easy-to-follow multi-step process on what to do if their retirement fund has already been lost. Please visit PAC's website to see all of our retirement benefit fact sheets. And thank you for joining the celebration today, and thank you for supporting retirement financial security.
That was great. Thank you so much, Ariana, for your remarks and also for all the work that you did this summer at the Pension Action Center. Next, we're going to hear from Kailyn Falmouth, who is an undergraduate at UMass Boston. Hi, Kailyn. How are you?
Hi, Anna. How are you this morning?
Good, thanks. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Hi, everyone. My name is Kailyn Falmouth, and I'm an undergraduate student at UMass Boston, concluding my studies in economics, political science, and Italian this semester. My journey with the Pension Action Center began a little over 1 year ago, almost to the day, when I was offered a marketing and outreach internship for college credit. Throughout the fall semester, my primary focus was to complete intakes, which is the process of collecting information from potential clients about themselves and their pension problems to see how we can help them, typically either by referring them elsewhere or taking them on as clients. One of my favorite aspects of my internship has been watching cases grow after the initial intake. What starts off with a simple phone call or online request for help has the potential to turn into a success story, a client gaining access to the funds they earned and deserve. I've been fortunate enough to witness a number of success stories shape out within my year with PAC, and I think everyone in the office would agree that one of the most rewarding parts of this work is seeing the positive impact it has on clients' lives. Whether the benefit is small or large, and whether the funds help to pay for a client's mortgage, medications, or even just live a more comfortable life, the additional income is always appreciated and makes a difference. I've worked with countless clients who've expressed that they didn't know what they would have done without PAC, and I believe this is a strong attestation to the necessity of PAC's work. Too often, clients are left in the dust by the companies they were dedicated to, sometimes for decades. PAC serves a critical function as the bridge between employees who worked hard to earn their pensions and the benefits they're rightfully owed. With that, I want to say thank you to the wonderful staff at the Pension Action Center for teaching me over the past year and continuing this tremendously important work.
Thank you so much, Kailyn, for those remarks and for all that you've done at the Pension Action Center. Kailyn and the other undergraduates add tremendously to our program, and I'm extremely pleased today to say that thanks to a generous gift, our undergraduate internship program is going to become a permanent part of PAC's operations. We are extremely grateful to John and Patricia Kimple for making a pledge to support our undergraduate interns this year and into the future. The undergraduates do a fantastic job of serving our clients. And in addition, we're so happy to be able to provide them with a paid opportunity to gain valuable work experience that they can carry forward into the future. Many, many thanks to the Kimples for making this possible. Now we're entering our last segment, and it's my pleasure to introduce a special message from Representative Richard Neal, Chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee. Unfortunately, Chairman Neal was not able to join us in person this morning. He had been planning to, but his schedule changed. And of course, I'm sure he has a lot on his plate right now. But we're very pleased that he has sent us this message. As you probably know, as Chairman of the Ways and Means, Chairman Neal plays an important role in pension reform. And he's going to talk about that in his message this morning. So please join me in watching this message.
Thank you so much for including me in this important celebration. You have much to be proud of. The great work that the UMass Boston's Pension Action Center does in providing free pension legal assistance to people in need across New England is most impressive. These are complicated plans, and the retirement security of many Americans are on the line. So on behalf of the hundreds and hundreds of pensioners your organization has helped over the years, let me say thank you. And congratulations on your achievement of 25 years of doing this critical work. I know what Social Security survivor benefits meant in my own life as part of my own steep climb. But we're also reminded today about the reality of the following. The average Social Security benefit in America is about $16,000 a year. That means that half of the Social Security recipients in America receive less than $16,000 a year. Couple that with the idea that half the people that get up and go to work every single day in America are not in a qualified retirement plan. So let me use this opportunity to shift to some of the work that I'm focused on in the retirement space. When I look back on my career, my work on the Butch Lewis Act is one of the areas that I'm most proud of. So let me start there. I've had a long history of promoting the tax system as a vehicle for encouraging retirement savings. Over 1 million American families are in multi-employer pension plans that are quickly running out of money. This is not based on malfeasance, and it's not based on corruption. This is not just a statistic. These are American workers who planned for their retirement, and now after working for 30 plus years, they are facing financial uncertainty at a time when they are often unable to return to the workforce. Butch Lewis, who my bill is named after, drove a truck for 40 years for USF Holland and tragically died a few years ago of a massive stroke. Even though he did all of the right things in preparing for retirement, his wife Rita is looking at about a 40% cut to her joint survivor benefit. 40%. This after years of hard work and retirement was finally in sight. Helping hardworking Americans is why my bill is important. The Butch Lewis Act would give millions of workers and retirees the security that the retirement that they worked hard and planned for all of their lives will indeed be there when the reality of retirement settles in. We need to pass this bill as soon as possible. It has already passed the House, and I'm working hard to do that even as we meet. Further inaction means that American workers will remain at risk of slipping into poverty during retirement, even though they put aside their hard-earned money for decades to ensure that they would have a stable pension in retirement. So getting the Butch Lewis Act done as soon as possible remains a top priority of mine. In addition to Butch Lewis, I'm also working on other retirement legislation. Too many workers in this nation reach retirement age without the savings they need. One of the reasons for this is that too few workers are offered an opportunity to save for retirement through their employers. According to AARP, workers are 20 times more likely to save if they have access to automatic payroll deduction plans, and as many of you know, I've been very active in that space for a long period of time. Yet 55 million Americans still aren't able to save for retirement out of their paychecks. Therefore, as a longtime advocate of the auto IRA legislation, this bill generally would require all but the smallest employers to maintain an IRA or a 401k plan for their employees. To make it easier for businesses, small employers, including 10 or fewer employees and new businesses not in existence for 3 years, they would be exempt from the requirement, and no employer contributions would be required. We do provide a tax credit to cover administrative expenses. For millions of American workers, this legislation would make saving easier and dramatically improve the probability of a secure retirement. It's time to address our retirement savings crisis, and it's time to provide American workers and small businesses with the tools they need to make retirement savings a reality. And my bill does precisely that. That's why the bill has the support of AARP and many other advocates in the retirement arena as well. Finally, I was very pleased that we were able to enact last year the Setting Every Community Up for Retirement Enhancement Act, known as the SECURE Act. The SECURE Act is the most significant retirement savings to become law in well over a decade and goes a long way toward addressing some of the challenges in our current retirement crisis. The new law makes it easier for small businesses to offer retirement plans to their employees by eliminating outdated barriers to the use of multi-employer plans, or MEPs. As a result of this provision, it's estimated that up to 700,000 new retirement accounts will be formed. I'm really proud of the fact that every Republican on the Ways and Means Committee, and indeed in the House, I believe, voted for this plan that I authored as well. The SECURE Act also increased the age for required minimum distributions from 70 and a half to 72. The age hadn't been adjusted since the 1960s. And the new law requires employers to allow long-term, part-time workers to participate in their 401k plans. As women are more likely to work part-time than men, this legislation is particularly important for women in the workforce. Thanks to this provision, 4 million Americans will now have the opportunity to save at work. The SECURE Act will make significant improvements to our retirement system, but more needs to be done. So I'm now working on SECURE Act 2.0. My priority for 2.0 is expanding automatic enrollment in 401k plans, which significantly increases participation. Since first defined and approved by the Treasury in 1998, automatic enrollment has boosted participation by eligible employees generally, and particularly for Black and Latino and lower wage employees. An early study found that adoption of auto enrollment increased participation in a 401k plan by short-term Latino employees offered an increase of 19 to 75%. For 2.0, we're also looking at legislation related to student loans and 401k matching contributions and increasing the required minimum distribution age even further to 75. My hope is to introduce this bill over the next couple of weeks. It is likely once again to garner broad bipartisan support. Let me conclude again by congratulating UMass Boston's Pension Action Center on 25 years of extraordinary service. And again, thanking you on behalf of the many pensioners who are now financially secure in their retirement, thanks to your good work. Congratulations and thank you from the United States of America.
Again, we're so grateful to him for taking the time to be a part of our program, and so grateful for all of his efforts on behalf of people with pensions. We are reaching the end, and I just want to take a moment to thank some of the people and institutions that have made this possible today. First of all, the Pension Action Center is part of the Gerontology Institute and the McCormick Graduate School at UMass Boston, and I want to thank both the Gerontology Institute and the McCormick Graduate School for all of the support that they give to our program. I also want to thank again our sponsors and our host committee. I also want to thank a number of individuals who got up early this morning to make this program a success. I want to thank Lauren Lewis, John Gesso, Kailyn Falmouth, Mark O'Sullivan, Emily Kennerly, Vanessa Chatterley, Vero Betances, and everyone else who's contributed to our program. And thank you so much again for joining us and for your support. I hope that you'll visit our website for more information. Please share our telephone number with anyone who you think may need our services. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon.